Hey, and welcome back to the Dice Tower. I'm Camilla.
I'm Tom.
And we're going to be taking a look at Timber Town. This is going to be a new game coming here from Alley Cat Games, and in it you are competing beavers, one on each side of the river, trying to build up the best town here for your citizens. So it's going to be a tile drafting game and tile placement game.
Two-player.
Two-player only. So just a two-player game, no solo, no three. So let's check out how it plays. Here we're going to be checking out Timber Town, coming to you from Alley Cat Games. Now, to finish setup and begin the game, we need to go ahead and seed the board, in which we're just going to seed this first river tile with one from each tile. Now we're going to be ready to start the game. The river tier is going to be made up of 4 different sections or river tiles. The first one is going to be the one on the far left here. It'll also correspond with the first column on each of the player boards. So you can see who's going to be the first player by looking at the icon that's right here. So this shows us in this first round, the blue player is going to go first. On your turn, you have a number of actions you can do. The first thing you can do is just select a tile from the river. You can select from any column in the river, but once you select that tile, it has to be played into the column that it was selected from. So let's say the blue player, for example, chose this one. All right, he would play that into his board. Now it would be my turn. On my turn, I would be able to, once again, choose one of the one of the tiles that are up here in the river. The other thing you can do on your turn is you can place a raft. If you place a raft, then you are saving a tile for a future round. So let's say this time I want this tile, but I don't want it in this first column. Maybe I want it in the second column. So I'm going to put my raft on there, kind of reserving that for myself. After you've done your main action, which is either taking a tile or placing your raft, then you can also do any number of free actions. Free actions are going to be, as I was just saying, claim the tile under your raft, so that is free. It does not take your future turn. You can use a crane token, a dam token, or you can scuttle a construction. Now, scuttling a construction, let's get to that in a minute because that's going to go into the placement rules. But if on your turn you want to use the crane token, that's going to allow you to break the placement rule I was saying of placing in the same column. So had I wanted to take this tile, and I could spend a crane token from my personal supply to place it in any of the 4 tiles. If you spend a dam token, then you get to take an additional tile from the board up here. So that kind of gives you another turn, kind of a go again. All right, so let's talk about how you can place the tiles. When you do take a tile, you will place it, like I said, in the column of the river tile that you took it from, and you can freely rotate it in any of the 4 directions. If the tile has a symbol on it, like this one that the blue player took over here, you would take that token into your supply. So here I would take a dam token and put it in there, and so I have that to use on a future turn. So let's say that I wanted to take this one here. Okay, so you can freely rotate it in any direction. You do have to make sure that it is a legal placement with the different boardwalks here. So let's take a look at a couple different tiles. So this here, let's say that I, in the future round, drafted from this second one, would put it here. This would not be legal because I cannot connect the 2 boardwalks. This would be legal because it makes one contiguous line on the boardwalks. But that's where the scuttling action comes in to play here. Like we said, for a free action, if you ever have a token, you can use one of those tokens to scuttle, and that is you put it down and you put it in the middle. That kind of effectively makes that a connection. So it allows you to break that placement rule of having to have the boardwalk continuing. So after your turn, again, you're going to take a tile or place a raft to reserve a tile, and then take any number of free actions. After both players have done that, the final tile is going to be cleared off, or the final river board is going to be cleared off of any tiles on it, and then it's going to move to the front and be reseeded. So now you can see that I would go first on this time. Let's say that I want to draft a tile once again because I don't have any more raft tokens to take, and I would want to take this one here and place it right here. It has an icon, so I'm going to take that icon. That's going to be another raft. These rafts are double-sided, so I would put it on red since I am the red player. And once you use this one, it goes back to the general supply. It won't return back to me. And then it's in the second it was in the first column I took from, so it needs to go right here. And then as a free action, I'm going to take this riverboat or my raft back here. This one comes back to my supply and place that one there. I'd be done. The green player is going to go, and once again, these would continue to shift down. Eventually, these will kind of, look something closer to this right here as it kind of washes down, and you don't want any of these other tiles. So like I said, as that tile, or as that part of the river gets pushed off, these would just be discarded back into the box. And that is important because we are going to continue this round of taking turns once per river tile until we cannot both take a tile into our board. You cannot take a tile if your board is completely full or if there are none left on the board up here. If you're the first person to completely fill your board, you'll take this beaver token, which is going to be 5 points at the end of the game. And then you would just continue to pass your turns while the other player either completed their board or kind of ran out the river up here. At which point we're going to go to scoring. Each of these buildings are going to score differently, each of the colors that are annotated in the middle of each of these tiles, and you have a card over here to tell you how they're going to score. So for example, here, if we look at let's see, I have a red one. Each red tile scores 2 points. So this would be 2 points. It also is always going to come with a construction token as well that you get. The green, I don't have any greens. Here we go. We'll go with the workshop. Let me just put a couple more tiles out here. Let's say that I had done this, something like that. There's a blue one here. Each blue tile scores 2 points for each unique non-blue in the column. So I have 2 purple temples here, so that would only count once for 2 points. And then up here I have the orange town square. It's not a town square, I'm sorry. That one is a market, and that market would be 2 points as well. So this blue tile would be worth 4 points. Again, each of the colors have their own way of scoring, so you're going to do all the, take each of those individually and score. You're going to score for your beaver, and then leftover tokens that you did not use are going to be worth 1 point each at the end of the game. So you're going to tally all those up. Your building points, the beaver point, your leftover tokens, and then your beaver tile. Highest points are going to win.
I thought that the rules for this game felt the slightest bit obtuse to get into.
Yes.
Like, it took me a while to realize that. So you have a main action and then a free action, and the main action is take a tile or claim a tile to use later. But claiming a tile to use later is not a free action. It is a main action.
Taking the tile you reserved for later is the free action. So you're like reserving your turn and a tile.
Yeah.
But there is an odd cadence, especially in the rule book, where it's like I felt like I learned the game 3 times before I learned everything, if that makes sense. It's like, here's the big overview. Here's a little bit closer of an overview. All right, here's the nitty gritty. And so it didn't feel as easy for as light of a game as it is. It took a little bit to get into.
I also have a couple problems with the components. I think that it looks nice. It looks really pretty. But one, I thought the symbols on the corners, there's a couple I was like, wait, that's the orange one. That's the market card.
They're so tiny, too.
They're really tiny. And the ones that give you a symbol, I'm like, I'm supposed to take, which of these pieces is it? Right. That was one thing I didn't love. I also didn't love the path system because it was like, you make a path across to make these beavers, at least on the base card. There's one that says, if you make a path across, the beaver can run across and score points.
That one's always on there. The other cards, and this is something I didn't say in the overview. I did show the scoring cards. There are 4 scoring cards for each of the colors except for 2 of them, which always have basic. Like they have to score this way, it has to score that way. And the beaver is one that always scores the same.
But the beaver, when he runs across the paths, I think you would have to almost try to not score the beavers. Like, it's not hard, since you can rotate the tiles.
Right.
You just always connect your path. There's no reason not to.
Right. Unless you happen to take it late game or something like that, if it got over to there.
I just felt like that.
But it is. Yeah.
I also thought it was weird that some tiles just seem better than others.
Absolutely. I do think so. They do seem better than others, but I think the trick and the balance of that is it aligning in the right column where you want it.
I agree, but at the beginning, so let's say there's one that gives you 2 points for each tile next to a different color, and one is just worth 5 points. Guess what? I'm taking the one that's worth 5 points.
5 points, yeah.
Straight up. It's gonna, and then whoever has the most gets more points. I looked at the math on all the cards, and they're pretty close, but some just are easier to do.
Yeah.
So why would I not take them?
Yeah.
It doesn't feel different than a lot of games that are out there where you play stuff, with the exception of the moving. Did you like that?
I really liked that a lot. That's a mechanism that I really enjoy that I don't think we see in a lot of games, and that's where that last tile clears off and goes back to the front. So that rotation market. I think it is a really good cadence for a two-player game as well. Because a lot of times if you're playing something like that with that mechanism in a two-player game, you don't see the market, if it was what we'll call it, the market or the river here refreshed often enough, so it gets a little stale. And so I think that constant movement was a really well-placed cadence. Did you not enjoy it?
Yeah, it's okay. Which unfortunately is becoming my whole thoughts on this game in general. Was it's fine. It's filling a 4x4 grid and then scoring, and there's a lot of games that do that. It's that taking the thing. I find it interesting, like to let it. I'll claim that tile, and then I'll let it move over and claim it later. That's interesting. I also, since I was speaking negatively about the kimonos, I think it's nice that the aisles have player colors on them, so I always know who goes first.
Yes, yeah.
I was like, oh, you're first because it's the red line.
Right.
That's great. You don't have to pass a marker back and forth. I like that. And it's different scoring, but the different scoring cards has become like an AEG thing.
Okay, yeah.
You know, with their tiny towns and things like that. But I guess the best thing I can say about this is that I don't think this one, I think this is a more casual one of these games.
Absolutely.
You don't get to the end and be like, oh, I'm going to mess up everything when I put this tile down. No, you just might not get as many points, but you're not messing up the board as much. It's not too like, oh, what do I do next? It's a light tile placement game.
This is definitely that weeknight or that cozy category of games for me. It's that low overhead, quick setup, two people after dinner sitting down and playing, a quick game of this. And that being said, I think it does play really quick. For as light of a game as it is, it really also fits into a nice. What's it say? 'Cause I want to say it's like
30
20
minutes, but it might be 25, 20.
I was going to say 20 to 30 minutes, and it fits right there.
Yeah, so I can't beat on up at it too much because I love the art in the front. I like how it looks. There's some graphic things I'm not a big fan of. It's just that at the end of the day, I was like, it wasn't bad. So it's a 6 for me. That's my isn't bad type score. I don't know that I would recommend it or play it, but I also didn't dislike it, and I can see why people would enjoy it.
Yeah, I would recommend it, and I would play it. I'm going to come in at a 7, though, because I think the graphic design or the visual design of it gets in its own way. For one that relies so heavily on individual scoring, it's hard to see what color the building is in the middle. That could have stood out more on the tile. I love the art direction on this. I think it's absolutely gorgeous, but I just wanted the buildings to stand out a little bit more or make the symbol a little larger. Something like that was just a little amiss, and so even after a couple plays, I almost always took something that's like, oh, that's not what I thought it was. I thought it was this other color. Oh, dang it, I didn't realize that was that building. So I think the art direction almost gets in its own way, or the graphic design gets in its own way, but I do enjoy playing this. I think it is pretty instantly comfortable, and if you like that, kind of revolving market, if you like tile placement, quick 2-player, weeknight kind of games, I do enjoy and recommend this one. So it's going to be a 7 for me.
There you go, folks. That is Timbertown.
All right. Thanks for joining us here at the Dice Tower. I'm Camilla.
I'm Tom.
And keep on building.
Hey folks, thanks for watching another one of our videos. If you like our videos, if you like our channel, you would love to game with us at one of our conventions. Check out Dice Tower Cruise, Dice Tower East, and Dice Tower West. Fantastic conventions where we play games with wonderful people, a humongous library, and lots of other events and stuff. Also, don't forget to check out our channel, like and subscribe. I'm Tom Bassel.